Hey guys, welcome to Pop 411, your weekly podcast for all things nerd culture. I'm Ireland and this is my co-host.
Carlos.
And this week we'll be covering
Conventions.
convention.
Ooh.
So we need to specify, I realize this. Are we talking about card conventions, anime conventions, comic conventions?
I think we're talking about conventions.
No, we're
all of
definitely
them,
not
right?
talking about porn conventions.
Well, definitely not porn conventions or software conventions. It's going to be
No.
more towards the nerdy side.
Yeah, exactly. Well, all right. So conventions. So when was the first time you went to a convention? Like actually went to a comic,
Like a
we'll say
comic, like a
convention.
comic book convention? Oh,
Yeah.
wow. That was a comic book convention.
Oh boy.
Ooh, I'm going to
Got to dive in that memory bank.
I think the first big one that I really liked was San
Most-
Diego Comic-Con 2013.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, but I mean, that was if anybody's ever been, it's a spectacle. There's so many people, and that convention center is at capacity, so they end up building out into the actual street itself. They kind of take over that whole
Petco Park
area.
too.
Oh yeah, and
They
into Echo
they've done
Park as
some
well.
things in Petco Park.
Yeah, I remember when Walking Dead was actually pretty big. They did that whole Walking Dead experience there. Zombie crawl. Yeah.
Like, oh, I didn't go to that.
That was pretty wild, but it was really interesting. There's so many people that are, collectors, fans of comics, but then they do con exclusives as well. So there would be people that would be standing in line. I remember there was a ton of people.
Do like figures. So like Hasbro used to do exclusive figures. There used to be like so much exclusivity of what you could only get at San Diego Comic-Con. And that like doesn't exist.
It faded out. Or did they?
It faded out hard. Because you can't actually get physical exclusive merch on the floor anymore. You get like QR codes that like take you to a website where you get like first access to pre-order stuff or that sort of thing. But Hasbro and them, they took that, like there's no lottery. Like they took that off the floor.
Interesting. I also remember that there was like people that were waiting in line for days for panels, which was super interesting.
I mean, they still kind of like do that ish for like Hall H.
That's the big hall where it's like all of the main,
all the like, I guess like celebrities coming in and will like make an appearance, or like if you're The Rock, you drop down from the ceiling or something like that.
Wow. So they turned it into well, that's the thing about that convention itself is it did start off as just like comic book collectors.
Started in a hotel like conference room, like basement,
right?
Originally,
right. And now it's super mainstream because all of the big studios would come. They would do
because they're all down from LA.
Yeah, bring out celebrities, panels. I mean, I remember once I was having breakfast with a friend, and we were in the gas lamp area of San Diego, and right out of the hotel, you see the entire cast of Game of Thrones come out, and I was just like, "What is going on?" It's all of them, and they were hopping into black cars and heading into the actual convention. Because they take them in
through the back, so they take them in through the docks because they don't want them like crossing, like having to go through like the main
with the commoners
area with the commoners. So they take them in the back for security reasons.
That's super wild.
It is super wild. I didn't even know it was like a thing until this past year. Then I got to see that whole operation back there, and I was like,
well, did you actually get to do that part of the operation?
I did this year. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. It was interesting. I mean, as far as like
top secret,
the systems they were doing it. No, I would say it was celebrity talent, but normally I work just booth appearances, like help, negate the line and kind of do that sort of thing. This year, I actually got the full responsibility of going and picking up the celebrities from their places of stay and ushering them with security to the show. So I actually got to ride the golf cart and go through that whole experience this year.
Ooh, did you feel fancy?
And maybe if I was driving the golf cart.
I wouldn't want you to drive the golf cart.
I want to. Oh, that's my favorite thing. Like, I only golf so I can drive the golf cart. But
have you ever crashed into somebody like on purpose?
I have no idea what you're talking about. I plead the fifth.
You plead the fifth on that one. Mm-hmm. Watch, there's this video that's going to show you crashing into somebody right as you're ready to tee off.
There was no cameras.
No cameras.
There's no evidence anywhere.
I like it.
If there was, my legal team would have it already. They're keeping busy.
So what do you think about San Diego Comic-Con?
I despise it.
Why?
We have a term like there's a terminology that has just kind of resonated with me when it comes to San Diego Comic Con. Being neurospicy, having both ADHD and high functioning autistic, I still get triggered by sounds. A lot of people, noises, the fluorescent lights kill me on the floor just because I'm very sensitive to blue light. So, San Diego Comic Con, there's not, if you guys have ever been, it looks massive. It looks like, if you haven't been, you've just seen it. It looks massive. It looks like there's a lot of people. And it's true. It's a true story. There is a lot of people. However, it's going to look like there's even more people when you're hosting it in a closet. So the actual San Diego Convention Center is not that big. And unfortunately, they cannot extend out because one, you'll go into the ocean, or two, you are taking over the US government with the Navy side on that. And that's a no go, bro. You don't touch Uncle Sam's. So it can't expand out and it can't get any taller. It's kind of stationary. So there's so many people. It is literally like butt to nut.
Mm.
It's a terminology. So you got someone's butt rubbing up if you have junk on your junk, and then your butt is rubbing up behind you on someone's
Oh,
junk
no,
because that's
no.
how it is to get anywhere.
No personal
Like
space.
like there's no personal space. Like to get up to like if you're going upstairs or like to go to a hall, it's the same thing. It's so uncomfortable for me. And what makes it worse, sorry, not sorry, fucking strollers.
Oh.
I hate them because a lot of the times people will bring them just in case. But it ends up being a shopping cart that they don't pay
Oh.
attention. So they have everyone's shit loaded into it, and then they're just hit you in the fucking shins the whole time.
Mm.
And it's really hard when, the medicine, you just get a little overstemmed that you just don't want to pick up the stroller and beat a motherfucker with another motherfucker. So, uh, yeah, I have a little rage with strollers. San Diego, in essence, the only time where I actually found it's enjoyable, and I've been going kind of like when I do go, it's kind of hidden. I don't tell people I'm going until the last couple of years working with celebrities and like, obviously I'm here, come see me here with this person. Um, I found it actually during the strike. So to be the most enjoyable. So like last year, there was no Hall H, there was no
Mm.
celebrity appearances, there wasn't anything to like I guess influencers, content creators, like you didn't have any of that shenanigans because they don't want to be there with a bunch of people who are into comics. That's not their thing. They want to be like, look at me. I took a photo with Jason Momoa. Like they're those people. And you didn't have any of those when SAG was on strike. So the floor, the whole vendor floor was just comic book people. It was
Mm.
just people who are diehard, actually into it, not for the clout, not for the celebrities, not for the content, but for actually people that loved the actual culture. And it was just so amazing because, there was no lag on the floor. You can always tell when there's a panel and people pull off the floor. It was actually like people wearing costume, and it was like not just those quick, Zentai throw on a suit, but like people wearing costume. And it was just I actually enjoyed it, and I knew going into this year that, like, I had already set the bar so high from last year that there was just no way that it was gonna be like that this year, and I was right. I
Mm.
was right. I was right.
Yeah, I kinda like the smaller conventions.
Oh, I do too. I love the more intimate,
Yeah.
not that intimate, but, like, the intimate appeal to it, like, I can actually go through short boxes or long boxes and look through back issues. I can actually go say hi to people and not have to scream. I actually don't get ran over by strollers. I actually get to see other costumes. I actually get to pee and eat. It's fantastic. Because I think that's why I love so much of like the collecticons. Like you have the
Mm,
TCG
mhm.
cards, but it's like a more smaller thing. So you have like your voice actors and actresses. You have like, a few people in there. And then you have like all your card collectors. And like, that shit's cool. You got people playing Magic over on the
Right.
tables outside of it, or Pokemon or Yu-Gi-Oh, whatever, and I love that. I love that. I love that.
I remember back in California, there was a couple of ones that I really liked to go to. Anime Los Angeles, because that one was really good.
I've never been to that
Long
one.
Beach Comic Con was actually pretty fun for me. I
Wasn't
I
for
I
me.
enjoyed it. I thought that
Ah,
was a really good one. Palm Springs even had one. It was Palm Springs Comic Con.
mm,
I went to one of those. It was hot as hell there.
it's Palm
Yeah.
Springs.
But that
It's
was, I mean,
visit.
it's an opportunity, especially if you're in the, in the community, to see friends and hang out and not feel like, you know,
You're being pulled in a
you're
thousand
yeah, you're really
directions.
being pulled in a thousand
Oh,
directions,
no.
which I really like. But then you have your, you have your bigger one too, like Anime Expo, which is a massive
It
convention
is
in LA.
what is it? It's the second largest convention in the United States. It is the largest anime convention on the western side. Now, Comcat is the largest anime convention, and that's in Japan.
Oh, we got to go to that one.
So that
I've always wanted to go to that.
I don't know if you're ready though.
No,
So
why?
like let me just give
Why am I
you
not ready?
let me
I'm
give you an
ready.
example. And this is why I love cosplay
Mhm.
that's not like US based. You're going to see I got goosebumps. This is so great. You're going to see spectacular, intricate, just come to life builds that are just so mesmerizing. From all of the, you'll see walking mechs, you'll see Evangelion, like the full mech suits, you'll see so much that you just don't see in the US because it's all about titties or shit the ass cheeks. But like in Japan, like you get anywhere outside the US, they want the craft. They want to see the lights. They want to see the LEDs built in. They want to see full working mech parts and visors come up on batteries or circuit boards. Like it is insane. It is insane. Like, I never think that I'm good enough when I look at, like, even as a hardware mechanical engineer, like, with my daily job stuff, until, like, I've reached their level to do it on a hobby. Like, I
Right.
do it because I wanna eat as far as, like, my full-time job, like, I want to make this special project that I have to so I can eat and pay my bills. But on the hobby, I don't feel like I've mastered it compared to some of these
Well, I mean, if you look
cosplayers.
at the Japanese cosplayers, the Chinese cosplayers also as well.
Oh
Oh my
my
God, some of the stuff that those guys
gosh.
do, you're just like,
The whole
whoa.
Asian continent. I mean, I'm even blown away
Korean
by
cosplayers are
some of the
fantastic.
Russian, like,
Oh,
I'm
Russian.
just saying, Ukraine, Russia, like some of just
Yeah,
crazy artistic builds from, just the Asian continent. So,
right. Well, what's interesting is that conventions and cosplay have kind of go hand in hand. They're kind of synonymous, right? Where you go to a convention, you expect to see really good cosplay or some cosplay or a lot of people dressed in cosplay because I guess that's part of the culture. It's part of the
right,
scene.
it's part of the
It's part of the
experience,
experience. There you go.
right?
Mm.
It's not only the experience for the attendees, but it's also the experience for the cosplayer to be able to showcase, look what I build, and I'm gonna go, it's not I wouldn't say it's like comparing it to a street performer because it's not. Not if you actually build your stuff. It's more like you built this amazing, wearable art piece, based upon a character or fandom you love, in theory. And you want to showcase that. You want to showcase your ability. You want to be able, to do the character justice. You want to capture that for people. Not only do you get to feel awesome for being that character all day, but maybe inspire other people to do it as well. That's how it used to be.
And, no, let's talk about that, right? Let's talk about how it used to be because I remember people would post progress shots of the cosplays that they were working on to debut at a specific convention.
Mm,
And it used to be where like there were a bunch of people that would get together and say, okay, we're all gonna be at BlizzCon and here's the stuff that we're working on for BlizzCon. Amazing, amazing builds and stuff like that. And oh, what are you reaching for?
go
What are you
ahead.
reaching for?
No, please
Ooh,
continue.
okay. You're making me nervous. You're reaching for the black book.
Please continue.
And then,
Carry on.
or you'd hear people talking about Katsucon, the con that kicks off the season for conventions. Oh boy.
Right.
So what happened? Because it seems like that's not the case anymore.
Not for over here on the western side, no.
Mm.
The western hemisphere. Pull out my handy dandy death notebook
Oh boy.
here. Let's have some tea, shall we? Because you can't
Yes.
spell cunt without the T.
Bring on the tea, y'all. Let's go.
So, how it used to be, there's a couple different factors here. So, me personally, because I can't speak on behalf of anyone else, because I can only share my experiences on this podcast, no one else's. Legal disclaimer. So, basically, on my experience, when I would post BTS in the past, I would get people excited and show them the process, show them the engineering concept of it. I've had 4 patterns be ripped off and mass produced downwatered for consumerism resell. So
Mm.
I no longer post me building and crafting and making something. If I do a time lapse, it's something just boring that anybody can do. But as far as the intricate, exclusive little details and stuff, I don't post that anymore. Additionally, the last 4 years, anytime that I post anything, those of you who do follow me know that I have a stalker who likes to, one, try to get it out as quickly as possible using closet quick slapped and composition photos afterwards, or two, tries to wait till I unveil it and then do it themselves and try to up it by over filtering and over compositioning it. And I just decided it's not worth it. I like to come out of the gate like a surprise, like poof, here you go. So for me personally, I don't post any of that stuff. Um, I used to find joy in getting people's reactions, like getting them excited, bringing them along through the process, but I'm also a true nerd. Unlike other people. So I'm not a poser. And so being able to bring a character to life that I've loved, whether it's from video game lore or it's from movie lore or something in the past, is so it's so exciting because it's like, oh, we have friends, we all like the same character. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna make this happen. And you get excited about it. And for I could kind of deal with corporate trying to come in and rob some of that joy. I mean, it's to be expected. You do something good, someone's gonna try to
Sure.
try
Emulate it,
right,
right?
exactly, the best of
Makes
their
sense.
ability. But when you have someone that comes in who's maliciously petulant, um, you just kind of document everything, give it to your legal team, and move on.
Mm. Wow, way to drop that one. Fuck.
There's only a portion of this. The
Yeah.
rest of it belongs with my attorneys
That
for good safekeeping.
and I'm sure we're gonna have another
Oh, we've
episode where
got
we talk
so much with
specifically about
this.
cosplay.
But, like, I believe that the convention scene, as far as in terms of seeing builds at conventions, has deteriorated as far as the amount of builds that you see, because it's a lot of work. Supplies are very expensive now, even more expensive than they were in the past. You're like, well, they're readily available, yeah, for a price. And with inflation and stuff, it's really hard to be able to afford all this war blood. Make your own circuit boards and put LEDs and stuff, or fiberglass, or 3D print, or foam for that matter, like foam crafting. So it's a very tedious and expensive process to go through it. I think a lot of it too is we're seeing a shift in comic conventions where a lot of people kind of just don't want to bother attending all the drama, the stress, the travel, the expense of it. And we're seeing a flux, like an increase of people that are coming in that just want to grab their quick 15 minutes of content. Look, I'm here, and then bounce.
Hmm.
I saw a lot of that at San Diego. It was very disheartening. Very disheartening.
So
People
people
would
just came in
come
to
in
say
to
that
get
they
their
were
quick
there.
video, to get their quick TikToks, and then they would bounce.
Wow.
But I think San Diego this year exposed a lot of things. It exposed there was a decline of people actually wearing costumes at a convention. It exposed that there was an increase of people just purchasing tickets away from actually people who were excited to be there just to film quick content for their social channels. I mean, like super quick. Like, here's a couple like Fortnite dance videos, and then they would bounce. In addition to that, we also saw that I don't know if you've heard in the news in the passing, but there was sex trafficking bust in San
Yo,
Diego
I
as
did
well
hear
this year. They
that.
got like up to 14. Some of them were actually underage. So it was a combination where if you cosplay, you do need a handler. You need someone to watch because you can't be always alert at all times because you're gonna have so much going on, or people pulling you in directions, people wanting photos, yada yada yada, and whatnot. So they actually was like pulling girls aside that like didn't have a handler. And
What were they trying were they just trying to get them off
here,
site?
yes.
Oh boy.
Here, oh, I have a
Ooh.
fake DSLR. I'm a photographer. Come with me. There's this awesome spot I want to shoot. And then they were gone. There was also, I think it was kind of something in the works previously where, I don't know, this online shit, like police were doing it, but like
So there was a
they
sting
were,
basically,
yeah, there
right?
was like that, but they were soliciting So
Oh,
there was some
wow.
people there soliciting sex trafficking, like, it was just it was a whole fuckery, but, I mean, it doesn't matter if you're just wearing like, a Zentai, like, bodysuit of, like, Spider-Man or Black Cat or Spider-Gwen, you need to have a handler, just for safety, 'cause you don't know what people's intent are. You don't wanna be pulled aside, especially if you're not you might think you're used to the area, you might think you have friends around, but with that many people around you, they're gonna, like, once they're gonna lose eyes on you, and when they
Wow.
lose eyes on you, it gets to be very
That can be really scary because,
yeah.
like, I mean, if you think about anime conventions, right?
Mhm.
And the fact that now cosplays are so popular
Well, I mean,
and
Anime
readily
Expo.
accessible.
Dude, I worry about the safety of so many con goers at Anime Expo
Right.
just because there's so many because it's in between the buildings and then you have the horseshoe area, which
Mm,
is outside, like by a parking garage. So anybody could just snipe someone and pull them in the parking garage and drive away and you wouldn't even know it.
yeah, it's super
And a lot of
scary.
these cosplayers are underage. And so like I'm like starting to worry about the safety because people are becoming super aggressive more than they used to.
Very
Like
much so.
I've backed off from cosplaying a lot of conventions. One, because it's expensive and I just get tired of running booth space. But like two, I'm at the point where even I need a handler
Right.
because it doesn't even matter if I wear something just so basic. There's people grabbing and pulling on me and at the booth. So I can't even imagine if I was outside the booth and actually like right there.
Yeah, in front of just the public
Dude,
itself. That would be rough,
safety,
man.
safety first.
Yeah, scary. That's super
I don't care
scary. I
if that
don't.
is your fetish of getting kidnapped and yanked. That's no, don't do it.
Yeah, that's a different convention.
That's a different convention. But no, I just worry for the safety of that because I mean, anime convention has turned out to like that. Like there's so many 16, 17 year olds.
Hmm.
I'm just like, oh man, it's like how to catch a predator, like prime ground.
Yeah,
Like I
that's
worry for that. I worry.
yeah. I got to keep on the lookout for
So
that kind of
yeah, the
stuff.
convention scene's definitely changed where you didn't have to worry about that so much 10 years ago. Like you didn't have to like people that were going to a convention were just as nerdy as you are. And you were probably geeking out, nerding out about something crazy, something that you loved, or like you saw someone dressed as your favorite character and you like nerd out and geek. I still see that occasionally, but not as much as I used to. Not
Hmm.
as much as I used to.
What do you think of the 18 plus conventions now that have just started to, get headway and keep moving? Because I think that at least, for a lot of people that I've talked to, it's serving a niche, it's serving a need for,
I
a
agree with
more
that.
adult content for,
I mean,
riskier
I agree with
anime.
that. I mean, you do you, boo boo. I'm not judgmental of that at all. I do think that at a comic convention, you should keep it family friendly.
Hmm.
I'm family friendly, even though, like, if I wear a black hat, right? I've got so many things holding the zipper in place that it can't move, like literally glued, soldered, everything, keep it in place. But I also have a dance suit underneath.
Right.
So I always like it might look like I have one suit on, but I have like two or three. And then I have tights on underneath that because you don't you walk by
Something
something,
rips.
you rip like
Hmm.
you don't want to solicit someone's family to like maybe they don't want to see a bare leg. Maybe it's on the bottom of the butt cheek. You don't want people to see that either. So I definitely think that, it needs to be separated. I do know some characters are drawn as far as an anime sense where they're 18 plus, and that's fine. But I think I mean, it's a good marketing for people who want to launch a con like that. It's a great stream of revenue.
For
There are
sure.
tons of hentai. I can't judge. I got bookshelves over here full of it and cast off figures. Those who know, I see you. But it's just, yeah, I'm not against it at all. I still think there needs to be safety involved.
Of
I
course.
still, you're a lot of those conventions are heavily, there's heavily influenced with the alcohol. So of course, naturally, me I always wonder about things like that and floating around as well. But if you're gonna go anywhere outside your house, proceed with caution. I say if I just wake up in the morning, proceed with caution because I can fall up and down the stairs. I can trip just trying to go to the kitchen. I cannot see a toe bean and trip over a toe bean,
No,
and
this is
then
true. And
you
then
know what
you're
I mean.
done.
So I don't have
Let
room to
alone letting you
judge.
out in public.
Safety
Whoa.
first if you
Yeah, that
wake
could
up,
be.
right? That's why I don't go in public.
I'm sorry, y'all.
Um, yeah, but no, I think 18 and plus conventions are great. I think there should be a convention for everything if you
Right.
want to.
Well, I
Well,
mean,
I mean, like that's legal, guys. That's legal.
yes, of
Like
course.
that's legal.
It's legal. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean,
Just want to put that disclaimer in
there
there.
was a convention that I went to not too long ago was Colossal Con, Texas, where everybody kind
That's
of
like the pool one,
that's the
isn't
pool
it?
one,
Like
right?
in
Where
a
everybody creates their
like a
version
water
of
park?
yeah, water park where everybody creates their version of a swimsuit cosplay, and I think that was very cool. It was very themed, and
I like
people,
when people do that though.
yeah, it's
They put
super
like,
cool. Shows creativity, like
yeah.
something different, something
Well, it's a
interesting,
different type of fabric and stuff you got to do, and then you got to like, wigs and water.
right? And then
So you got to do
you
that.
mentioned the TCG cons, like all the ones that
Oh yeah, so
yeah
the trading card games. So you
yeah.
have all the collecticons, which
Mhm.
are awesome. So those are super like fun, and then you have the horror conventions with like
Oh
Monster
man,
Palooza and stuff, which is
I still have to go to
huge in
one of those. I haven't
SoCal.
been to
We
one.
have to go.
Yeah,
We have to
I'll even
go.
dress up for that one.
Monster Palooza is amazing. Like you just have to. Like I think it would just be amazing.
That'd be fun. That'd be really fun. They sell out really quick though,
Oh,
because
they
there's
do.
a huge following for those.
Of course. It's just because it's a love of all the vintage, old school like special effects horror movies, like the swamp or like the thing, you know what I mean? Like all
Yeah,
those
all the old
stuff.
B movies too. Like
Right,
those were great
right.
for sure.
And you have all your Tim Burton stuff and you
So what was your favorite con? Like what
oh
if you had to go
boy.
back and look at the cons that you've been to? What was your favorite one?
No, are we like is this like amnesty? Like better not
What
judge
was
me
your
for
favorite
this
one?
one.
There's no judgment. No
No
judgment here.
judgment.
We have no judgment. Our
No
peeps have no
judgment.
judgment.
No judgment here. Well, I mean, I'm like utterly open-minded about anything, but I just want to make sure there's no judgment over here. My actual favorite. What do you guys think my favorite convention would be? I'm curious because you guys are never going to guess it. The favorite convention, oddly enough, that I have ever been to, get ready for it, BronyCon.
BronyCon.
Right? You wouldn't expect that Ireland's a furry. No, hold on.
Hold on,
Hold it.
bronies are different. That's a different.
Hold it. Let's back it up here. So, how it started. Well, got to give you the backstory. Got to give you the meat to go with these potatoes.
Well, what is a BronyCon?
So, BronyCon it's no longer anymore, but it was a convention dedicated to My Little Pony.
Oh, okay. Wow.
So, what My
Bronies.
Little Pony released in what, 86, 87? Been around a hot minute. So, I think that was like the first generation. So, oddly enough, I mean, I liked, I have nieces and nephews, of course, because I have a very large family. And they were watching My Little Pony. And I was like, shit, man, this is a cartoon again. Like, I remember when my aunt was like, watch these on like VCR tapes. It was, let's not date ourselves. But I was like, that they had like saved off the TV or whatever
Right,
when I was
right.
like
Oh yeah,
super young.
absolutely.
So I was like, okay. Um, so it just like I just started dressing up as them for my niece and nephews because I mean, my nieces loved it more than my nephews, but they were just excited by it. And I was like, fuck it, I'll wear it to a convention. Who cares? I'm already dressing as Pokemon. I might as well just
Yeah, just do one.
wear these because I
Yeah.
mean, these were elaborate with like Swarovski crystals. Like, I mean, I just went shoo, right down the path. And so I met these amazing guys, these amazing group of guys who, previous military background. And so we obviously then, get along great. Um, and, they actually explained the whole backstory of My Little Pony, the hidden meanings behind it, what like which character means what they were going through. Like there's a whole psychological path to like why
Wow.
each character is written the way it is. And the writer like even confirms that like, yeah, this is like society but in a form of like ponies.
So
And
it's
like
deep. It's deep.
there's so many layers to it that you're like, it's a freaking cartoon. Yeah. And so is all, everyone else, but there's so many layers to it. Um, and, so like I had known him for a while, couple years, and they were like, come with us to BronyCon. And I was like, okay. So it was in Baltimore, Maryland.
But you
And
had no idea what to expect, right? You're just
I had
like,
no idea
I'm
what
gonna
to
go. I'm
expect.
gonna wear my
I didn't
cosplay.
even research it.
Okay.
Just from what they were telling me, they were talking about panels and they were talking about, these after parties. And I was like, because, going to conventions, I just didn't have time for it.
Hmm.
Ever since I started conventions, I was always, in a master's program. I was always in some
You're super
graduate
busy.
school stuff, always working full time, always doing this stuff. So the gym, I never had time to attend an after party, which is also why people think I'm a cunt and not sociable. That's not true. I just have goals. So, I mean, like other goals outside of attending after parties.
Right.
Besides, Cinderella turned into a fucking pumpkin at 11 o'clock. We found this out the
She
hard
goes
way.
to bed early, y'all.
But I'm also
Super
up
early.
early because I live fasted. But backtrack here. So I didn't even research this convention. And I was like, okay, I'm just gonna go with this. They did tell me one thing, that there was a ball. I'm like the Marine Corps ball, and they're like,
Whoa.
kinda, it's a ball. And I'm like a gala. What do you call it?
Like a
Gala?
gala? Yeah.
Gala?
Gala.
Gala. So there's a gala. And I was like a regal gala, and they're like, yeah, everyone wears tuxes. I was like, what the fuck? Like, are you like people get dressed up? And I was like, oh, okay. What the fuck are we in for? So I was like, all right, let's do it. I've never had so much fun. And I mean that whole sincerely. I have never walked into a convention. Okay. Granted, Star Wars kid growing up, like instantly my family's like, you don't talk to anyone who likes Star Trek. It's either Star Wars or Star Trek. And anyone who likes Star Trek is not your friend. So that was like my
They
dad
will be dead
and
to you.
brother's like point of view, right? So I had no idea what to expect. Everyone was so excited to be there.
Oh.
They were just genuine. You just saw families happy, kids happy. I mean, there you walked in the vendor hall and these people know how to craft. Like they were making these My Little Ponies that like would give Build-A-Bear a run for their money. Like all these
Wow.
embroiders, they were like this tall. I mean, we're talking like 20 some inch plush,
Wow.
like just immaculate,
Handmade.
heavy detailed hand. I mean, they were going for like 600 each, but people were buying them in the troves.
Yeah.
They had like some of the artists from My Little Pony. They had the writers there. I mean, they had voice actors. Tara Strong was there, you know,
Right.
'cause she does like Twilight and stuff. Like there was so many people at this convention. You know, the gala was amazing. I was like, everyone dressed in like their themed dress pony with the matching like tux thing. Like it was freaking amazing. Like I saw one girl dressed as Twilight Sparkle and she had Spike, who's the green dino on her shoulder. I'm like, this is perfect. And she was carrying a book. That was like a purse. Like it was just so perfect.
What about the type of people that were there? Like what were they where were they from?
Just
What
they
did
were
they
from
do for work?
everywhere.
Like
Dude, some of them worked for NASA.
whoa, okay.
I mean, like, we're talking like,
Some legit people.
dude, I felt like I was like in an autism like spectrum party. I'm like, everyone gets it, man. Everyone is literally from Big Bang Theory.
Oh.
It was amazing. It was just legit amazing.
So they were truly your people.
They were my people. Still are my people, even though BronyCon's not allowed. But like some of the voice actors they brought over that would just do impersonations. Like I'm still friends with one girl. Her name is Ellie, and she does VR. Yeah, so she has a VR avatar.
Okay.
She sings and she sang at the after party, and it was amazing. They had a DJ there, and I was like, bro, like I've like specifically choreographed for like Skrillex and
Mm.
Tiesto and ATV and all these mainstream house, DJs. And this DJ for Brony just killed it at BronyCon. And I was like, what on earth? And everyone dressed up in rave clothes that matched their favorite ponies.
Mm.
It was just the whole theme carried on everywhere.
That's so cool.
There was always something going on. They were doing all these activities where you could do these games with like other people. Like they would then there was philosophical panels where you dissect the back, like
Wow.
all this of like each pony and like what it actually truly mean. Like there's so much depth. There were so many layers. It was like a blooming onion.
And that was that the last one that you
It
went
was
to?
the last
Oh,
one.
R.I.P.
I
BronyCon.
feel like I just like shot it in the foot, but nobody was fighting. Nobody was fighting. Like nobody was fighting. They had a closing ceremony. Everyone was there. It was like the room was packed.
That's money.
Like
Wow.
it was just like, and it's one of those most memorable ones because there was no animosity.
No.
There was nobody going, "Ah, she's here.
No, look what
There-
she's wearing.
Oh, I can't believe like you like that one. Well, I like this one better."
Mm.
There was none of that. There was just no drama.
Yeah.
It was so nice.
It was a peaceful con.
My God. It was so cool. So shout out to Tony and those guys. Adam and all those guys,
Man,
Justin,
BronyCon. They
they're
they should bring BronyCon
literally
back. That'd be
they
really interesting for
should.
them to actually
Everyone
do
needs to
that.
go just once.
Yeah, I would go. Like if they did one, I would totally go.
Dude,
I'd
you
check it out.
have to go.
Oh, speaking of that, you know what I want to go to?
Oh
I want
boy.
to go to a furry con.
I do too.
That would be
I do too.
amazing.
Now, I will be first to say that when I made my Cheshire
Mhm.
with the fake like fox fur, never again. The people that make those fursuits, hands down, bless you. The amount of acrylic fuzz that was stuck to me, stuck to my machine, stuck in the carpet, stuck everywhere. No,
But those
I
those
can't.
costumes are expensive.
Yeah, they're like 4 to 8 grand or 4 to 10 grand, depending on
Dang,
how like
wow.
intricate you get.
That is,
But they are amazing.
and I think what's wild about that is
You
you
can
just
get
don't know who it
fans
is.
put in them.
Right.
They're always so sweet.
Yeah.
They're always so sweet. I mean, granted, there's this. Those of you who have been to WonderCon have seen this guy in pass. There's the P.O. bear. I'm not gonna put the D in that one, right? Who walks around and like has the pouch where you stick your hand in like the pouch of the bear that he's dressed up as to like get a sucker.
Oh.
Should not be a WonderCon. Now that's not part of the furry group I'm talking about. He should be going to AVN.
You should be
But
going.
but especially when you call yourself a P bear,
Mhm,
you know what
mhm,
I'm
mhm.
saying? You just don't do that.
Ooh,
It's like asking for it.
you just
I mean, he probably would get run off now, but he has been a WonderCon a few times.
wow.
But
That's interesting.
yeah, no, that's the only type of time where I'm not about those suits.
Yeah,
But
because I've seen groups
we
of
have
furries.
friends who are furries.
Yeah, we have
though.
friends furries.
We're in a
There's
mutual
groups that
community
come
who are
through.
amazing.
Yeah, I've seen groups because usually they'll come in groups at a con. There'll be like 15, 20 of them. And
I've never seen that many.
I just look at their costumes. I'm like, wow, that is
I've only seen like
deep.
maybe like 6 at once, and that was like a Dragon Con.
Oh,
And I only saw them because they were like getting on the elevator to get off the elevator, and I was like, it was just so
maybe
cool.
they're headed to like, their own
I don't
gathering or
know, but
something.
it's just like obviously it's not like I don't like plushies. So the fact for me, like, it's so cool because I have always been like, I wonder, one of these times I just want to wear stuff and nobody knows it's me and just walk around the convention center just to like and be able to enjoy it, you know,
There's also another con I want to go to,
like Deadpool.
like
No. I am that bitch.
book conventions.
Smut books. Oh, I love
Just
smut spicy books.
Like
You're probably like, no, I'm talking about like geography and biographies.
no,
and I'm all, like,
I was talking to
smut.
this lady at a convention, and it was I can't remember what convention I was at. I think it was an anime convention.
But they have BookCon.
And-
BookCon is always right before New York
And
City.
she mentioned that she was going to a book convention and that she had packed like all of these books in a suitcase
Yeah, you can get them
to
signed.
take them to
Of
get
course.
signed. And I was like, what? There's like, yeah, she's like, it is like the Super Bowl for people that love books. I was like, man, that's like, and they're hardcore. They're like hardcore about it. I'm like, man, I love reading. So
You've walked in this place. You've gone past some of the books that I have. You
Mhm.
know it's a thing.
Oh, for you, yeah.
You know
yeah,
it's a thing.
yeah.
So there's a couple things now that we're speaking about BookCon or book talk, all this delicious books. All the spiciness. They actually have one. It's called BookCon, and it's usually like the week or 2 weeks before New York Comic Con in October. So that means it's coming up. And they're actually like they would have a bag, and you could go get ARC books, which are like the ones you read, the proofread before the actual final ones
right.
you get. Like I've got some ARCs downstairs for that thing. And you just fill up your bag full of these ARC books and like you just write reviews and kind of like give like an assessment for it. I'm like, and now that like goth dark spicy sci-fi books are in, I'm like, yes, I love it. It's funny because my girlfriend Heather, she's my friend, not my girlfriend. Okay, I have one, but I love Heather. So anyway, I got her into reading Sarah J. Maas. So it was called A Throne of Glass. Everyone's like, I know it's you, Actars. Okay, so I discovered this on the first thing that I ever pulled up, because I don't do Kindle. This is the first one I ever did, and the last one, I pulled up the novella for it, which is actually called The Assassin's Blade.
Ooh.
And I was reading this, and I got my friend Heather into it, and I was like, "You need to read this." And then she was like, "Oh, I was gonna read that one." I'm like, "Yeah, jump on it." And so we fell in love with her writing and started going to all of her book tours. And I have so many books signed from anytime that she's launched anything new to a new series. Like I have so much Sarah J. Maas downstairs, but she's such a good writer. And so like they would, I mean, like they had her arcs and stuff like a book talk. Like it's just crazy. I would love to go.
I would too.
I think if my grandma, if she were still alive, would probably be like rolling around in her like just
Yeah,
so
for her
happy.
romance
Oh my
novels.
gosh. So I grew up, my grandmother was very artsy and she would do like her ceramics. We had a kiln downstairs, so she'd bake her own clay pottery. And that's just, she's native. That's what we did. And she'd sew, and that was like her whole downstairs was the craft room, like everything. And when she wasn't, she'd be reading. She had this little book stand next to my like little 3 shelved of mass produced paperbacks that her and my grandfather had. My grandfather had Louis L'Amour, so it was like westerns all day long.
Western,
My
yeah. Man's
grandfather
man
had
sort of
these
thing.
Harlequin novels,
Ooh, Harlequin
and I
romance
just
novels.
remember looking at them and I'm like, this looks like Fabio. Like all of them looked like Fabio, and the girls just look like old Disney princesses, like just their attire. I didn't really understand what she was reading.
The content.
I thought it was like a Disney fairy tale, to be quite honest. I didn't know how spicy some of these books were. And it's like, it's that time period where they were like, his spicy quivering member
Yeah.
to talk about a
Flower.
dick. So it was just very interesting. And I'm like, yeah. Yeah.
Grandpa had no idea, y'all.
No, I had
Grandpa
no
had
idea
no
my
idea.
grandma was reading smut. Like, I had no idea. She was reading so much smut. And I was like, oh, she must really like these fairy tales. These fairy tales are like not as long as the fairy tales that, like, we'd get on VHS. Like, I couldn't figure it out. Dude, it was spicy smut. But it was like a proper spicy smut.
Oh, written. The language it's used in that is, yeah.
Like, I want to just read through some of them. And I'm just like,
You should pull a quote from one of them. Just open it up and be
I
like,
just
da, da,
start-
da, 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 you
oh
know.
my gosh. And I remember the covers. Oh, I remember the covers. And I'm just like, what do Blue Smoky Mountains have to do with Fabio? Like, why is there a horse in this one? Like I'm telling you, it was like some spicy shit. So I was just like, now looking back, I was like, Grandma, you scarlet letter, you little harlot. Runs in the family. Anyway.
But I think there's almost a con for anything, right?
Dude, I would so go to a book con.
One of my friends, she collects reptiles. And so there's reptile conventions that are super
absolutely.
big, right?
That's where you get a lot of your exotics. They usually exotic pet shows.
Yeah.
But they have like even like they have like NASA, like space conventions.
Ooh.
Oh, I would know about that.
Yeah, you would.
So they have a lot of that. Like you could go through like Silicon Valley had a huge presence where like NASA and SpaceX would be there. So like a good chunk of the floor was just NASA and SpaceX stuff. Like it's super cool. As someone who went to space camp when I was younger,
ooh, get to go to space camp. You're so cool.
It was so cool. It was fun. I loved it. But yeah, so I mean, there's a convention for everything. I feel like now.
Yeah, and
That's legal,
put the disclaimer up there, y'all.
right? I have to because I'm like, there's no Jeffrey Dahmer type shit like convention. Like I go off on the way deep end is where my head goes. Like you guys probably like, yeah, we gun shows.
Gun shows.
You're
Gun conventions.
You're in Texas.
Yes. Very good. But where do you think our nerdy convention scene is going to go? What do you see?
It really depends on what pops off, like mainstream wise. Like we're seeing studios kind of dominated a lot of things the last 8 years or so with Marvel, and then DC scampering around trying to get that sorted. And it just you kind of see where that goes. I mean, you're always going to see the rise of the golden age and silver age comics. So there's always going to be vintage comic dealers, which are super cool to go through. You're always going to find your independent press, people putting out their own, comics or their own art. So you're going to see that a lot of that in the artist alley. I think we're going through a big shift now because I've seen a lot of my artist friends just kind of start their own like OG, like original characters and write the backstories for
Mm,
them. And it's just been really cool to kind of see them not only, you know, take their drawing and their art, but actually like being able to make a whole story
right.
around their art.
And
So
independently publish it. Mhm.
yeah,
That's cool.
it's so cool to just to see that, just to see them flourish. It's like creatives in their little realm. I love it. I'm always going to support that.
One of the things that I see at conventions is there's the artists, of course, that they invite, there's the voice talent that they invite, but there's also, depending on the convention, there's X amount of cosplayers. And what I
Mm.
see is that most of the cosplayers that are part of a convention are usually local cosplayers. Every once in a
That
while, you'll
that
get,
attend,
yeah,
that are
that are
guest.
guests.
Oh,
And then every once in a while, you'll get like somebody who comes in from, out of town, out of the country, but
depends
it's
on the
for
convention.
why?
It depends on the convention.
Uh huh.
So we
Oh, are we
need
going?
to get a little bell for
Ding, ding,
this.
ding, ding,
Ding ding
ding,
ding. Pulling out
ding.
the Death Notebook here. So the thing with that is there are con owners and promoters who see no value in cosplayers as guests. Cosplayers as guests cost money, flight, hotel, maybe per diem if you have a good management team or you negotiated well, transportation to and from airport if you negotiated well. But you attract people who are other cosplayers who this is not from my words. This is from the
What you're
actual
hearing.
no, no,
Mhm.
no. What I
What you
heard with my own
with
two
your yeah.
ears that these people that these cosplay guests are bringing have no pockets. So that means they're going to pay money to see their favorite cosplayer, but they're not, and dressing up, but they're not going to spend any money on the floor.
Mm,
So they see having cosplay guest as kind of like something they just obligated to do. It's an obligation, but they shove you in a back corner. You have no green room access. Um, they could care less if you're there. So they try to have like somebody there that's like, oh, might draw attention, but now they're just picking people who are local and be like, oh, well, we'll give you a table. And that's all they're saying. So you, as a guest, have to provide everything else. And you're like, well, why don't I get green room access or anything or any of that? Because they honestly just don't want you there. You're just an obligation
mm,
that they have to fulfill. There's only a few conventions where I see that actually give a fuck about their cosplayers. And a lot of that is, international conventions.
sure.
Anywhere in Canada I've been to, love it. But they only have the best of the best. The crafters, the actual people who make things. Same way with going over to Europe, a same thing. You go to Italy, you go to the UK, it's the same exact thing. They want people who craft. They don't want your closet cosplayers.
Got
They
it.
don't want people who oversaturate and overcomposite their photos. They want somebody who actually makes crazy shit like Kamui, like full armor builds and stuff, or replica cannon things, like anything that you get from like World of Warcraft from
Right.
Blizz, and actually can wear it. Like look at Artie Fakes with Nick and Tabby, like when
Right.
they made
Already fakes.
Winston from
Overwatch.
Overwatch and stuff.
Mhm.
They actually take that to shows and wear it, and that thing is massive. I mean, I mean, it's true to scale. And I mean, like, even hunched over, I think like Nick was like right up here to me, and I'm 5'7", so I was like, you're walking at a con literally essentially as a gorilla. So um yeah, some of them just don't want you there. And they said that like this is from their words, not mine, that cosplayers are just over glorified porn actresses. That
Ooh,
um
damn.
or you're going to go down to porn. I know they did say one of the more prominent figureheads at dinner literally said, "We're just waiting for the day that she goes to Pornhub."
Damn, boy.
Knowing I'm right here, and it wasn't me, but it was just like, what? Because they said they possess no other talents. So now, if
Oh my
if
god.
if they want,
Damn, this is spicy,
right,
spicy.
right. So no, it's just one of those things where they want you to be, they want you to be in the industry more. They want you to be a voice actress. They want you to have your hands in other things that they can market you for.
Because
Because
at the
other
end of
than
the day,
that, they
it's a
don't want to
business.
spend money.
Got
No,
it.
it's literally business. If we spend $3,000 on you because you need a guest, all this. I'm lowballing the fuck out of this. Well, then we need 9 grand out of you to make it worth our time.
Got it.
So it's like they need to see that bigger ROI, and it's over 50%. And at the end of the day, I get it. Business is business,
So do you think that
but
they do cosplay for PR to say that they
yes,
okay, got
yes,
it.
because they see it as you might potentially be an internet influential person.
To get people to come
Yeah,
to buy the ticket.
yeah. Because what if,
Okay.
but they would rather have like TikTokers there and stuff that have a bigger following. Because what if you did a video on their floor with their banner and their marketing
Right.
and it goes viral? Well, there's a couple million
Right.
views with your banner in the background. So everyone's going to go to that, want to go to that show because you had this guest and this video went viral.
Mm.
That's just how social media works now.
So that transitions to what you just talked about, which was voice actors.
Mhm.
Over time, we've seen way more voice actors actually being a part of the convention scene.
Oh, and I'm so glad for that.
Yeah.
I think that like during COVID, I feel like, a lot of these voice actors and actresses were going to the studios to perform, to capture sound, to do their recordings. But with COVID, they had to learn to adapt. So they were
Hmm.
turning, them and their spouses were turning closets into,
Recording studios.
recording
That's
studios,
awesome.
from the foam to the mics to getting, the right ceiling because it couldn't be a flat ceiling.
Right.
Like it's got to be like, I mean, I was learning so much of like how intricate it is to actually have a sound booth, depending on where it is in the house. Like majority of the time it'd be under the stairs, but then you've got to like box it
You
in
got to
so it
insulate it.
doesn't ricochet
Yeah.
off the stair. Like there was so much. Um, and I feel like they had to be super creative, because nothing like the studios weren't working, but they, I mean, they had to work. They had to, do sounds and stuff and just kind of like sandbag their projects, but they had nothing to do. So, if it wasn't jumping on Animal Crossing, they were doing TikToks. So they were like, hey, I'm just going to do Cameo or TikToks and just, oh, this is me. I'm this person. And
So people
here,
got to know them
yeah, they
over
actually got
COVID.
to put
Got
a
it.
name and a voice with a
Yeah.
face. And that is like, that's what did it. Because, you go to a convention, you might see OG characters that would voice things. Like you might see Tara Strong, who's so many. You might see, Mark Hamill always
Right.
does like the
Right.
Joker and stuff. Like that's just a given. But it was like now it's giving everyone else a platform. You're like, oh shit, I didn't know that person voice acted this role, or I didn't know they were involved in here. And it gave them a bigger platform. And people don't realize that like voice acting isn't easy.
No, it's hard.
And we can
It's
do a
really hard.
whole stream over this
We should.
because you got to have like a theater background, and we'll bring in some guests. Like, I've got people that want to jump in and talk about this. Always have a theater background because you have to learn in order to capture your roles, capture those lines, and be able to convey the emotion of what you need to convey based upon those lines in the scene and what you're doing. You got to be able to have your voice match that. If like imagine if Bryce Papenbrook and Aaron Yeager at the end of Attack on Titan wasn't crying, and he was crying in real life. And
Right.
it was just like, how do you capture that? You literally have to convey that as if someone can't see you.
Mm.
So close your eyes and you have to be able
Express that
to
emotion.
express that
Yeah.
emotion and nail it, because that's essentially what people are doing, because they're not seeing you, they're just hearing your voice and a animated character.
That's
You
pretty
have to
hard.
match it. It's so hard. It's like it's doing it blind. And they are so talented. Like a lot of the voice actors and actresses I know have done Broadway. Like New York
Sure.
City Broadway. Like a lot of them have been involved in a lot of different theater projects in LA and everywhere else, like, done huge productions because it's the same thing. But I think for them, where at the end of a play, you're done performing, you get a round of applause. Voice acting, some of these voice actors and actresses haven't got their round of applause for their performance in 20 some years.
Mm. So that's why at
So,
conventions it's a big thing for
and
them,
I've
right?
got to be with some celebrities where, like voice actors and actresses, where it's been their first time ever attending a convention, a comic convention, and attending as, hey, I'm the voice of such and such. And so they don't know how influential
Or impactful to
they
people's
have
lives.
been until they see people line up to see them. And it's almost like a shell shock. They're here to see me because of this character. How big was this character
Mhm.
here? You know? Like when I was with Debbie and who does like Lady Tsunade, from Naruto.
Mhm.
She was just like, I did this role like 20 some years ago. And I'm like, she's like, these people still love it. And I'm like, you have no idea. I was like, don't get on Reddit. You're gonna see a
Oh,
lot of Lady Tsunade like that you probably weren't ready
you
for.
were
And she's a
yeah,
perv, that was I love her. But it was just she was just like just shell shocked. She was shocked the whole weekend. She had no idea.
well, it also goes to show you just how mainstream anime is becoming. A lot of people wanna
Oh
watch it.
yeah. Back in the day when these people started recording this stuff, it was like,
Yeah, no.
you wanna do a cartoon?
Yeah, it was niche, super niche.
It's like saying you want to voice Captain Planet, but like a Japanese version.
A Japanese version of Captain
So
Planet.
they're just
Power
like,
Rangers, the dub.
right, right. So they're just like, hey, it's a paid job, you know?
Yeah.
And they didn't realize that it would go on to be something like this. Like they have no idea. Like, because I work with Bryce Papenbrook a lot, who everyone knows is the English goat, and, English dubbing
The
goat,
GOAT.
the goat. Um, he didn't realize that when he got the role for Aaron on Attack on Titan, that it would go a decade and that would be so impactful that it would just really hit home to a lot of service members like during the wars and
Oh,
stuff.
right,
Like
right.
he had no idea how much it meant to people. People come up all the time in the booth saying, "Oh, when I was deployed," and each time he hears it, it's just like, wow. I got goosebumps. He's one of the most humbled individuals. Like I love him and his family to death, and it's just amazing. It's amazing to hear the stories. It's amazing to see how they're impacted. So I'm glad that they're getting the spotlight. I'm glad they're getting the recognition because I always feel like voice acting was something that was just there.
Yeah, it was forgotten.
It was there.
Yeah.
It's a forgotten art that now, because of something unfortunately like COVID, it was the light. It's one of the lights that came out of it. And I'm so, so happy for people who have been just, you know, hammering at this mountain, keep, staying with voice acting. They're not a Chris Pratt. They're not, like on screen actor and actresses, but I mean, they've just been hitting it, for decades. And it's, they persevered and it's just now they're getting, the rewards from it. Now they're getting that applause at the end of
Right.
the performance and stuff. And I love that for them. I love that for
And
them.
now, of course, conventions see that as ROI.
They see that. Well, they say, wow, people are going to come, but also Funko making the pops of these
Right,
characters.
right, right.
Come meet your favorite voice actor, or actress, get your
Mhm.
Funko Pop signed, get your TCG card signed,
Sponsorships and stuff like that
right? So
happen,
One
so
Piece, Naruto, Yu-Gi-Oh, Pokemon, like
right,
all these Bleach, like come just get all this signed.
right.
Like it's just crazy.
That's pretty
It's
awesome.
so
That's pretty
cool.
awesome.
It's so
You know
cool.
what I don't see as much in conventions?
Oh
You see
no,
your cosplayers, you see your
it's
voice
illegal.
actors. No, yeah, it's fine. But, when you think about, videographers, people like Mineral Blue or Kevin the Director or LA Explorer, like those kind of people that, they do film for a convention.
Dude, some of these guys are like video legends.
Yeah,
Like they'll do like
exactly.
cosplay convention recap videos and millions of
Oh
views.
yeah, but for
Like,
conventions, right? And
yeah.
and a lot of times, very rarely do you see them as a guest for a convention. Most of the time,
Mm-mm.
they're given a press badge
Yep.
and maybe a hotel room, and they're like,
They're
okay,
lucky if they
cool.
get green room
Yeah,
access.
something like that, right? And even more rare is photographers. You rarely see a photographer as a guest. So it's really interesting that there's like this, not only the cosplay people, but there's a whole creative subculture of people that help with all of this stuff, but aren't necessarily, you know,
Being showcased.
recognized,
Right.
right?
I feel like some of the smaller conventions, they're starting to do that. GalaxyCon's great about doing that. Um, I think Mike, the owner there, has definitely seen that, like, hey, these are influential people that have helped made a difference. They are highlighting things. They are a different side of the creative to the cons that need to be more access of. And Kevin, the director, and Mineral Blue, like these guys are finally, I love Long, like they're finally getting the recognition for all the work because I'm telling you what, I can't video edit to save my fucking
Yeah,
life.
I
I
mean,
just don't have the
editing
patience for it. And to
takes
do
a
like
while.
all the cuts and ins and outs, like that's an art form. And that's why I'm not a video editor. It's just, I mean, that's
It's a
also why I
lot.
don't do hair. It's just not a strong suit for me. Uh, and I'll let people that do it that are good at it. But we're starting to see where some are. It's just not mainstream yet. We're
Right.
we're not seeing it with Reed Pop. We'll never see it with Fan X ever.
No.
will never stay with Fan X.
Mm.
So it's just, I think some of the smaller cons is going to be where it's at.
Yeah, I agree with you. And a lot of these guys, they do it because they love it. So
Yeah, but you got to think though, there's so much out of pocket. Like they're
there
paying
is.
for travel,
Yeah.
they're paying for flight, for driving, for hotel, for food, 3 meals a day at least. Bottled
Mhm.
water at $7 to $12 a bottle of water. You know what I mean? Like these guys are packing full gear, full rigs. Like
Right.
when Kevin straps on the
Yep.
whole harness system, like
It's wild.
dude, it's insane to me.
Yeah, we have a friend is DT Jam. He goes by DT Jam
Yep.
David.
Yeah,
I think
David's
last year he went to
great.
24 conventions, and this year he's doing the same. But I mean, it's one of those things where
He's a He gets
he's a beast. He's a beast. But I mean,
I
he
fangirled
loves.
when I got a photo. When he took my photo in New York Comic Con one year, I actually, like, for the first time, I fangirled. I kept it in, but I was like, dude, I made it! Like, I made it! Like, I'm kind of feel important right now.
But he does it because he loves it, right?
Yeah,
And it's one of
he
those things
goes and he
where
finds the
yeah,
great stuff.
he finds the great stuff and develops great relationships with people,
Of
and people want to see
course.
him.
Of course. They
And
want to see the work. They wait for his like recap. And
yeah,
he's fast at turnaround times on those photos. Fast.
yeah. Well, I mean,
He'll be like, here's day one. And I'm like, didn't you just leave the con like 30 minutes ago? And
that,
I know
that
they have presets and stuff. Of
yeah.
course, you know this.
But that's what he does. Like
But
after the convention,
he
he'll
just
go
uploads
home.
it all.
Well, he'll go to eat
Goes to
dinner,
the
then
hotel.
go home go to the hotel, and then start editing.
I
Right?
have seen him at the gym in the morning
Yeah,
before
early in the
the
morning
show.
at the gym
So
too.
we have caught each other in the middle of workouts and stuff, but it's just I'm like, you have to for all that gear you're carrying around, like DSLR, all these lenses, bags. Like, I'm like, good gravy.
Yeah, but I mean,
Glass is
there's that
expensive.
whole group of people that help contribute to making
Well,
conventions
you got to think that
big.
they were the content creators. They were the influencers before it became mainstream to do so. They were not necessarily walking around doing interviews, but they were doing all the highlights. They were doing all this stuff, even before cons were paying them.
Right.
Doing recaps and showcasing and doing this stuff. They were doing it before, they could even get a free press badge.
Yeah. Well, I remember in the California scene back in the day, it was myself and Saffles
Oh,
Photography,
yeah.
JWA Design, Happy Trigger LA.
Oh, yeah.
There
You
were a
both
bunch
really
of
newer, but
yeah,
yeah.
but still, people that were in that sort of scene
And you guys
delivering
always stayed in
photos.
one circle. So when one found one, we all found you.
Well, I mean, it's one of those things about convention scenes, right? When you go to a convention,
You
there are
guys know where the
limited
best
spaces to
spots
shoot.
are, but you know where the
So,
best spots are.
like you said at Anime Expo, it's the horseshoes.
Because it's
There's just
trees. It's like it's better than here's a building, here's thousands of people. You actually
the
get
parking
some
lot.
palm trees, some greenery, so it kind of like fits into
You
the
make
theme.
it work.
You do. You do. R.I.P. those trees and those bushes.
Oh, I
They-
feel so bad for those trees and the
Oh,
bushes
God.
after that.
Especially because Anime Expo is like always hot as Hades anymore. So it's like,
What convention do you want to go to next? Is there one that you have that you really want to go to
that I'm working or that I actually get to go
that
to?
you get to go to as a fan?
I tried to go to San Diego Comic Con this year as a fan, and I didn't like it. So because it's San
Ooh.
Diego, we've already talked about it, but I just a lot of people like vendor friends that are like family just needed help, and like I ended up actually like helping out celebrities anyway. But I'm just like, man, I just like I know this goes against the reputation of being like queen cunt, but like I just wanted to help my friends and stuff. So I ended up just like working the booths and like helping out with celebrity stuff, like fetching them from their
Mm.
places they were staying and bringing them to the hotel and helping them at the booth, which was great. Um, and as far as attending though, I mean, you really had me interested with the book con. I'm like, bring me the smut. I need it.
Let me talk to my fellow friends about this.
Bring me all these dark drows and dragons.
Summon them all.
Right.
For me, I have
Rape
a
and
couple.
pillage. I'm just kidding. Oh, we just went way dark.
Oh my goodness! Yeah, I have a couple on my bucket list that I really want to go to. So I had
cons?
conventions.
Kind of books are you reading? Let's talk about this now.
another
Confess-
podcast. Another
confess your
podcast for that
deepest
one.
and darkest
Deepest and
secrets.
darkest secrets of books. So Dragon Con is one that
I
I
mean, we
want to
just
go
said
to.
deepest and darkest.
That one looks fucking amazing, and I've always wanted to go, but it never lines up. MCM
Oh, in
in the UK,
UK.
that one I really want to go to
October's it.
because
They have one at the end of May and they have one at the end of October on Halloween. You know that's the one to go to.
that's amazing. And then New York Comic Con because it is massive.
So New York Comic Con, like we said originally, it is the biggest in the US as far as attendance wise. It was 300,000 last year. It's spread over a course of the Javits Center. So they're utilizing both like the basements, the middle, the upstairs. They utilize all the floors, to be quite honest with you. They're very efficient like that. But they actually have exclusives on the floor, kind of like the stuff that like San Diego used to do. I mean, studios are kind of there, but like not so dominantly there as they are from like LA, but you get like um Crunchyroll, you'll get like Bandai, you'll get a lot of the anime scene because it's easy for them to come in
Sure,
that way.
absolutely.
But yeah, no, it's massive, but it doesn't. I mean, it is slight butt to nut like Friday, Saturday, but I've never like unless you're trying to pee downstairs in the artist area, which last year they only had 3 stalls
Oh
for
my
the women.
goodness.
The
My
whole
goodness.
downstairs had 3 stalls.
What a massive line that's going to be.
Well, I really hope
Line con.
I really hope
Line con.
I really hope they opened it up, man, because I was like, man, I'm gonna pee in a bottle right now. If I had that type of aim, I mean, like straight and precise. You know what I'm saying? But sorry, I ain't got a dick. You know, we figured this out. XX chromosome over here. So my Phantom Johnson could, but no. But I mean, I was really like, can I go outside and find a bush? Like, it might be a little bit faster going in and out of security. Just go to your damn hotel room and coming back.
It'd probably be
It was
better.
way faster.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. New York's exciting for me just because like and I mean it's the first one I like truly got to like jump into. Besides Stanley's Kamikaze. But it's one of those things where it's like, you know, they have books there and they have like authors.
There's books.
And I know Ari Salvatore is going to be there. So Bob, I see you.
Oh, there you go.
I've got a few that are not signed. I mean, randomly. I'm such a fangirl for Legend of Dritz.
So dark.
Drow. He's a dark elf.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
And
The
then he
drow,
has a
dude.
panther, Guinevere, which now I've got a panther of my own named Lucian or Spicy Beans. But anyway, so it works kind of. But no, he's like they're gonna be there. They do signings like I met like Pierce Brown there,
Oh,
which
wow.
does like the Red Rising. So you'll have that sort of thing. I mean, they have a few panels. They have photo ops with celebrities, but it's not like Hall H or anything like
Okay.
crazy. But it's really spread out.
And then I think the Japan one.
Comcat?
Yeah,
Oh,
Comcat.
Comcat.
That would be the last of the amazing
Dude,
ones
if
to go
I go to
to.
Japan, you know I'm not coming back. Like, I'm gonna at least have to have like 3 weeks there because I want to go to Kyoto.
Oh, Osaka,
I want
Kyoto.
to do all this. I want to go.
I want to see the Gundams.
I want to go to the Fox Village. I want to go to the
Sanrio.
Gundam things. Well, I mean, yes, Sanrio,
Yeah.
of course. You go to the Pokemon Cafe,
of
the
course.
Pokemon Center. You got to do all the things Pokemon, and then like I just want to dive into like the different histories
Yeah. And all the different subcultures that are out there too. There's some pretty wild stuff that's out there.
crazy.
Yeah, it could be super cool.
I want to do. I get lost, and then I end up with coming back with like 5 wives, and then all of a sudden I'm Morgan.
Oh yeah, but we should as
Sorry,
part of
I
this
didn't get my malaria shot. I got yellow fever.
as part of this podcast, we should be going to conventions.
Yeah, we talked about doing that because now we actually we're mobile. We can mobile move this. I know it's a dangerous thing for me walking. Red flag.
You see it fall down, bam! Oh, there she is. There's Island.
No, we actually talked about that and like going over and like doing interviews and like showing you guys what conventions are about. So if you guys think that, or you guys have a favorite convention, something that you think that's definitely that we didn't mention that, oh, hey, you should check this out. Definitely put it in the comments. Let us know. I've gone to several, but I'm always looking for new ones to go to, new ones that haven't, like niche ones,
Different
like,
states.
whatever it is. Definitely want to hear it. Put it in the comics. Put it in the comments below so we can check it out because definitely love all the information.
Yeah, and love
you guys
meeting new
have,
people
so.
and checking out a different
that
convention
depends.
scene.
Depends on my tism.
Where you at with the tiz?
What day is it?
What
for the
day
tiz?
is it today? Let's roll dice.
Is it 20 super tizzy or is it like 2 where it's like irritable but manageable?
I can do it. I can deal with it.
Roll 20 for initiative. So
Well, y'all yelled out that concludes our con. I was talking about conventions.
he's thinking about the spicy book convention.
Yeah.
Don't
Oh,
lie.
damn. Woo, too
You did say
much.
Dragon Con.
Well, that concludes our podcast, y'all.
I forgot. You know what? Hold on. You said you like.
That does not conclude
Wait.
our podcast, y'all.
You said you want to go to Dragon Con, right?
Yes.
But do you like dragons?
I love dragons.
Gotta be dragging these nuts. But it's dad joke.
Damn it! You got me.
Now this concludes our podcast.
All right, y'all. Talk to y'all later. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.